Welcome back to Whispering Oaks Woodworking, where the projects are beautiful and the survival rate is questionable at times. Today we're making salt and pepper grinders because nothing says fancy adult like freshly ground cracked pepper. These things sell really well at craft shows, so I'm going to walk you through how I crank these out in batches. I've got a bunch of different styles in the works right now for upcoming fairs, but today we're going to focus on one main design and one that clearly didn't get the memo. It won't be hard to miss it at the end. I'm actually going to do something a little different in this video. I'm going to show more of the process than I normally do. So let me know in the comments, do you want more of this kind of detailed step-by-step video, or do you prefer the just get it done already versions where I skip straight to the chaos? You may have noticed the molds that I have made there. That's ADS drainage pipe glued to some particle board straight from the big blue box store. Nothing but the finest, some plumbing infrastructure not being used for its intended purpose. I'm kind of famous for that. You can grab a 10-foot stick of it for under 15 bucks, cut it up, glue it to the board, and boom, you have a blank for under $1, which is great because your margin for profit at the craft fairs for this type of thing isn't real great if you consider the labor that goes into these, but they do sell. But the real trick is getting into that production rhythm, you know, where everything flows smoothly and you don't have any problems. You're doing the same kind of repetitive thing over and over again. I'll be doing, I think I have about 16 being made at the moment. Including the 9 that you're going to see in this video. And it's the same idea with things like cribbage boards and charcuterie boards. Once you have it dialed in, you're golden and you can replicate it. So I am using a deep pour epoxy for these. We're anywhere from 4 to 7 inches in height on these molds, and that's just too much depth for a regular 1-to-1 epoxy. For these particular grinders, we're going to be using 1 1/16 Forstner bit and 1 1/2 Forstner bit. Each type of kit that you buy is going to be a little bit different, but for this kit, we're going to be using 1 1/16 and 1 1/2 Forstner bit to drill out our holes. Now earlier you saw me marking both sides of the blank, and I don't recommend doing it that way. I went from each end and I ended up being off by just a little bit. It didn't affect the grinders in any way. They still function just the same. It's not a problem. I mean, I'm not off by a 1/4 inch or anything, but it's enough that I could notice it. So in the future, what I'm going to be doing is using a smaller bit, drilling all the way through from top to bottom, and then using that to find center with the different Forstner bits, because you go from one end with 1 1/16 and the other end with 1 1/2. If you use that pilot hole that goes all the way through, everything will be perfectly aligned in the end. And don't forget, if you subscribe and leave a comment on any of my videos, you're automatically entered for the 1,000 sub giveaway. It helps our channel out a ton if you subscribe, like, make any sort of comments, good or bad. We really appreciate it, and we're very thankful that everybody's watching the videos. I don't really have a plan when I go into carving one of these things out. And sometimes you look at it and you're like, man, I really didn't like that, as was the case with this one. You can always take stuff off. It's kind of hard to put it back on. You can't really unbake that cake, but it's easy to take stuff off if you didn't like a bead or whatever it was. So my biggest problem when I make a whole bunch of these is coming up with different shapes. And it kind of depends on what day it is for me. As you see in this video, everything's kind of rounded. I tried some beads, I tried a few different things, but for the most part, it's kind of a round shape. And it depends on the style of salt and pepper shaker I'm doing to, or grinder, I should say. You know, the Windsor model of grinders, I tend to do more of the rounded shapes, and so it just kind of depends on what I'm doing. It depends on what day it is, what kind of mood I'm in. So as you can see in these, they're all along the same lines. As you've seen in other videos, I like to use CA glue. That's what I'm using here to fill all the holes. Those sweet gum pods are horrible for leaving little holes, so are pine cones, but the CA glue makes that easy. You can use an accelerator. You can get on it a little bit quicker than if you just left it to dry. But if you don't leave it to dry and you try and turn it right away, you end up with CA glue all over you, all over your mask, your camera. Ask me how I know that. Which is why there's a replacement mask in my Amazon cart right at this very moment. So you see me using a 1-to-1 epoxy here to glue the grinder into the base of the blank. And they want you to use a bushing or a washer and a nut to get kind of a uniform 1/4 inch height on the grinder inside the blank. But if your blank length has changed a little bit when you've sanded it and ground it, then that's going to need to be adjusted a little bit. And I just use the assembly with the head and the grinder nut to get that exact height and hold it in place. And there's that one-off I was talking about. But I love that pine cone and that blue resin with the antique style pepper mill head on it. I think that's a pretty cool one. So I have a bunch more of these in the works, but of course I wasn't able to get them finished for this video, so we concentrated on these, which are a Windsor style of salt and pepper grinder, and they turn out pretty awesome. You have a lot of options when you use this type of head, and you can do a 5 or 7 inch height, and these particular ones are 5 inch. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We really appreciate everybody tuning in for these videos.